people who are into technology, who love technology, who love to play around with it.
And to be a hacker is not a bad thing.
The term hacker is something very positive for us. Hacking is about breaking things in order to see how it works. It's a very creative process. So what other people call hackers should be called criminals.
All the programming originates from a central command station. It relays instructions to small computers on each floor. They send signals to custom-designed wireless dimmers attached to each light, directing them to glow at one of 16 different intensities. And every window has to be rigged individually.
The first thing you have to do is to put up these cover sheets. So now the cover sheets are set up, and now we can install the dimmers for the lamps. That's all that needs to be done. Now the dimmer is fully operational.
Back at the control center, the team monitors the display via a live video feed and a real-time simulation of what's being played in the windows. Some animations come from Blinken Lights members, but anyone can download the code and send in a show.
Project Blinken Lights is all about participation. When we created our first installation, we didn't consider it to be an art project. We wanted it to be a platform for people to get in, contribute code, contribute animation, contribute new ideas. And that's exactly what happened. We are focusing on enabling technologies in order to make everybody participate.
And even if you don't contribute an animation or play a game, you can interact with the stereoscope.
We have created this nice 3D simulator that also shows the same stuff in real time, but where you can change the view dynamically and choose from where you want to actually look at the building. So the same program exists for the iPhone, and that way you can participate worldwide.
During Nuit Blanche, Chris Palmer can't beat out the other 1,200 visitors calling in to play video games, but he can change his point of view without going anywhere.
I downloaded a little program for my iPhone. So what's cool is it's giving me a real-time feed of what's up on the building right now. And you can kind of pan around and see what's on the other side of it, you know, zoom in, see it up close, change the angle that you're getting at, see what it looks like from down on the square, all of that. It's really exciting to see, you know, what's possible with this kind of technology.
Tim Pritlove says that the Blinken Lights team are only artists by accident. What they really do is create giant technologies for people to share with each other.
Project Blinken Lights is also about reclaiming public space, bringing such a building, especially a city hall that's made for the people, back to the people in a very literal sense. So when you can play a game yourself on a building, or you can even design your own animation and put it up on this huge screen, that's something where people really reconnect to the public space.
Kind of pan up, see it from up in the air, outer space view. That is so cool.
Yeah.
So can we locate the crew for a moment? Can you stand up so that everybody sees you? I'm not alone. Here they are. Here they are. So, any question? I forgot to mention that the design of the hardware is open sourced. So it's Creative Commons designed, the dimmers, everything, the technology. Most of it is based on the Open Beacon project that's also running the Sputnik tracking system here at the Congress. So Milos is behind it, you might know him. So this is already available. The software is not yet totally available, but will be. As usual, we are publishing everything, but we've been a bit lazy after the project and putting effort into bringing everything out. Yeah, so I don't know. Any questions? I would be willing to. Here we are. Can you go or get a microphone? Because without a microphone it doesn't work. There's one. Where's another one? Ah, you've got one. Okay.
How much money was spent on the project in Canada?
I mean, in total, with everything that has been spent by somebody else, so that we didn't have to spend it, I don't really know it, but something like 300,000 euro, more or less, which is a lot of things, including making sure that the city hall is in proper shape. They had to move a lot of money in between the city organization, and that's something we didn't really track. For us, it was like barely enough to deal with the costs. We had huge costs, especially with producing the new wireless system. It was very expensive, and shipping it. We've been a bit unfortunate, like the shipping it to Canada was rather cheap, but then oil prices went up, and like getting everything back to Germany was twice as expensive. So a lot of risks involved. In the end, we survived. Yeah. Anything?
Where's the next spot?
Yeah, the next one. I can't answer. I mean, I can also answer the other question that's always coming up. No, we're not going to do color. Because we don't think it's really what the project is about. A lot of the impression people get from the installation is really about having architecture transformed. And I guess you will agree that if you're looking at more recent stuff where architects cover their buildings in huge LED color coating, which is not really related to the architecture itself. Or, well, maybe it is, because the architecture is nothing more than just a facade which was built to be a screen. But there's nothing special to it. But having the building being turned into this sort of Godzilla-like monster that suddenly stands up and talks to you and lets you play a game on it, that's something people can relate to. And I think you've seen it in the reactions. I mean, for us it's probably not new, but they were at least like, oh, I didn't know that it was possible at all, and I don't know how, magic, gnomes, it's like they just start thinking about it in that moment, but enjoy it. And that's more what it's about. And next project, I don't know. We take our time, and we're not rushing things, because then you have no fun at all. Yeah. Anything else? Can we get a microphone? The microphone here? Because without microphone, it's not funny. So now be funny.
What was on the outside of the building? And if there were windows, have you ever thought about illuminate this outside? It's now it's inside.
You mean
can
like
see it. Yeah.
This is just like pure concrete. It's just closed. It's the back side.
Okay.
That's a specialty of that architecture, that all the windows are facing inwards, and outwards it's just nothing.
Must be look funny from the city side.
I mean, illuminating. We only take the windows because we consider the windows to be the natural eyes of the building, and if there are no eyes, then there's nothing to illuminate. So it might be helpful to have some kind of additional lighting, but the building had this anyway. Actually, we were busy more turning all the lights off that were usually illuminating the building, so that you could see more of what we were doing. So I guess this. So here are like a couple of spots going down to the Nathan Phillips Square, and here's tons of spots that are targeting the building from the front and also on the sides of it. So, but that's something we didn't just want to use at all.
Just for the backside? For the backside, there's laser graffiti system. So why not combine these two things?
Oh yeah, that's something we were thinking about. I mean, we had lots of ideas that we just had no capacity on following up on. Part of the simulator idea was, of course, the idea of having a canvas to paint on. I mean, that's just the most obvious next step, to use these devices like the iPhone or whatever is coming up next that might also be usable for 3D stuff, to use them as a virtual canvas, and then come up with games and creative ideas where you can really get a global audience involved. Also this GRL idea, Graffiti Research Labs, you might know that project, where you use a laser pointer to mark a spot on a building, and then you have a camera tracking the spot, and wherever the spot is, then you use a beamer to put up virtual paint on the building. So you can actually have a graffiti just by using the little dot, which is a gorgeous idea, and I think addresses architecture in a totally different way. It's not directly compatible with blinking lights, but of course it would be cool to have some kind of virtual stick that you could point at the building and paint on it. That's we got a ton of ideas in that direction, but it's just we didn't just make it to that point. It was too much work. There's another.
Keeping in mind that you were not interested in using LED technology, by 2010, 2012, the light bulb will be done according to European laws.
Yeah, so the question, it's the LED question. First of all, sorry. First of all, from what I know, it's just the ordinary light bulbs that will be gone. It's not the halogen lights. So maybe I'm wrong, but as far as I know, halogen lights are still here, so we're pretty safe with our technology. Second, the LED technology looks tempting, but it doesn't really provide any real advantages to what we're doing. First of all, it's much more expensive, at least for now. And Phil can explain this much better. There are lots of power, current issues as well. So right now, with the simple construction lights, it's just like so dump easy, plug-in light. And also you have this, I think, nice yellowish taint to it. It's, it looks so old school just from the start. And if you use LEDs, where every single lamp will have a different color, just because the production variation of LEDs is so different. So you have one spot that's more bluish, and you've got another that's more reddish, and then you have to come up with all that crazy color calibration afterwards just to make it one color. And here we just don't have that problem. And as you can see in this overview on all the other buildings, if it wasn't for a symbol being visible, you wouldn't really notice the difference. So it sticks out just by behavior, and not so much because it's a different color or so. I think it's still very natural in the context of the city.
Did you use the Ethernet cables which were already in the building, or did you bring your own cables?
Partly. We didn't have to bring our own because the city of Toronto was helping us out with switch equipment, but we were basically using their fiber optic infrastructure, but only 4 of them. So they had like fiber in every floor, but then we would have to have a fiber-capable switch on every floor. So what we did is we put in simple Cat5 cable interconnecting all the floors in one screen, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we had like 4 fiber cables going down into the cellar, into the network room, actually 2 network rooms, and they were interconnected with another already existing fiber connection.
The real question I wanted to ask is, why, if you had so much problems with the network, you said before, are you going to, why didn't you just lay power cables through the floors, so only have one controller for each? Why did you bring the network to the lamp?
Oh, we didn't do that. Actually, you have to look at 3 separate things. Power wasn't really the problem. Power was there. They laid out a separate power network for us because they were scared that we could bring down their power network where all the PCs were connected to. It's not really the latest